Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Player Zone YouTube channel. Welcome back to the Premier League predictions here for what is a very different setup here. On the road type setup for this one here. The Premier League predictions is back. Another massive weekend of football to come. Big games at the top, big games at the bottom, big games for new managers. A lot of new managers that'll be starting up, or interim managers this weekend in the Premier League. And it's a very even season. We've seen it by the ladder so far, 4th to 12th, only 6 points separate all those teams in there. And that sort of led on to why my predictions have been a bit average in the last few weeks. Added only 6 more points last weekend, taking our total now to 108 after the first 16 match week. So not too bad. We're aiming for 250, I think it was this year. A little bit behind. Wanted to catch up this weekend, so some massive predictions to be made. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, guys. Make sure interaction. I love the interaction in these videos here. That'd be much appreciated. And that being said, guys, let's get straight now into our Premier League predictions for match week 17. Our first game takes us to Villa Park as Aston Villa host Manchester City. Obviously, Villa coming off that heartbreaking 2-1 loss to Nottingham Forest last time out. Again, beating quite late on in that game there. And yet again, struggling off the back of a Champions League performance. Fresh week, the midweek off with no Carabao Cup football. A big chance for them to make a response here against a very, underperforming, underwhelming Manchester City side. They haven't lost their last 5 home games, so it's really, really important that they get that quick start. They get the home crowd behind them, Aston Villa here, and only 8 goals scored in the last 5 weeks. Has been the goals going forward been a bit of a problem. So you look into the likes of the Morgan Rogers, the John McGinns, in that sort of position in behind the striker to try and create things, make things happen, because I think that's where it's been breaking down for Aston Villa in recent weeks. In behind the striker, there's not enough chance creation for Ollie Watkins because he's scoring the chances when he gets them, but he's not getting enough opportunities in games there. So it's really, really important that midfield performance, those sort of 3 players in behind the striker, Kamara and Tielemans as well, in at the deep positions there, win the midfield battle, get the ball progressing forward and create chance for the big number 9, because at this current point in time, there's not enough being created by Aston Villa, and you can see that by some of the stats they've put up in recent weeks. Looking at Man City, I tell you what, it's so hard to read right now. 2-1 loss versus Manchester United last time out. 1 win in 11 games, only 6 goals in their last 5 games in all competitions. We're looking at a team that we knew goals would come, attacking chance would come, turnaround would be off the back of 2 bad games. It's now a month and a half worth of bad games. So can we see it happening? I don't think so, but I think they'll have a wake-up call post that Manchester United game. They collapsed. Phil Foden came out and said it's schoolboy type stuff. I think that's where it comes down to. Can Man City be a bit more compact for long periods of time? And I think it's those leaders, Kevin De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden, those sort of creative players, those players that have been around the squad for long periods of time, they're going to have to step up here because they weren't good enough versus Manchester United. Very wasteful and not great enough in the final third to create chance for Erling Haaland. He's a player that needs chance created for him and he'll finish them off, but he's getting no chance at the current point in time. So those players are going to be massive. Ruben Diaz at the back is going to be the leader, the rock back there. And they need to be able to manage moments in games. And I haven't managed moments at all well this season. And that sort of hurt them this year. So with that being said, I think it's going to be a tough game. Villa Park, they obviously play a part into it. I'm going with the draw. I'm going with a score draw in that fact. I'm going with a 2-2 draw between Aston Villa and Man City. I think both teams are a bit underperforming right now. And I can't see either team really getting a win in this one here. Our next game is West Ham and Brighton from the London Stadium. West Ham obviously got that 1-1 draw last time out versus Bournemouth. I think a little bit lucky, if I'm going to be honest with you. In the end, they could have escaped with all 3 points, but only picked up a point, which is probably warranted in the end there. Wasn't their best football, but the attacking style has improved in recent games. 8 goals in the last 4 games. Jared Bowen up top, down the middle. Lucas Paquetá, Mohamed Kudus back in the side. It's looking much better in the final third. A little bit more fluid, a little bit quicker speed of ball movement in the final third. That's a positive sign. I think, yet again, that's going to be the importance of West Ham again. How much can Bowman create? The number 1 big chance created at West Ham, and how much can Mohamed Kudus get involved in this game here? Because when he gets involved in those wide areas, spreads defences, good things happen for the West Ham side. Looking at Brighton, 3-1 loss to Palace last time out. It's been a very, very underrated struggle in recent weeks. No one's really talked about them. They went from sort of 4th, 3rd place now all the way to that pack there around that mid-table spot. No win in the last 4 games, no clean sheet in 9 games, 7 goals scored in the last 5 games. So they're not being good defensively, they're not being good going forward. It seems to be a little bit in the middle of this current point in time. And Hurts has had to work this out here. How he's going to make this team get back to that strong start of the season, be balanced despite all the chaos going around them. I think it's become a really chaotic style of football, and it's not long lasting. So a really big game he required, I think, in that midfield. Belieber and Ayari, when they're at their best, Brighton normally control the pace of the game and can manage games and manage moments. I think a lot of teams at the current point in time unable to manage key moments in games. You know, go and be on the front foot, bit of rock and roll football when you're in control of games, but also when you're out of control, bit of possession, sideways, pragmatic movement. That's what Brighton need to find that balance for. In this game, though, I think they get the win. 2-1 for me, away from home. It's going to be a tough place to go, West Ham. But I think just with the players they've got and the need to bounce back, Brighton will get over the line here for me. Our next game sees Ipswich host Newcastle United. Obviously, Ipswich got that dramatic win in the 4th minute of stoppage time to get their second win of the season away at Wolves, 2-1. However, goals continue to be a bit of a problem here. 4 goals scored in their last 5 games. Obviously, 2 came last time out versus Wolves. So it continues to be that problem for them. They can see maybe 1 or 2 goals, but they're not scoring enough going forward. And that's, I think, where the game has to be won or lost here for Ipswich Town. We know Newcastle are very, very good going forward. So you can, like to Burgess, O'Shea, Davis, Clark at the back are going to have to be tight. But we want to see more from Hutchinson. Consistent performances for him are going to be the difference because he fades in and out of games. When he's on it, Ipswich look fantastic. But when he's off it, they have no movement in the final third. Chance creation becomes hard. And all of a sudden, Ipswich are the breakdown. So it's a balance between those back 4 being very, very solid, but committing numbers forward and actually going at this Newcastle backline, which has been seen to be vulnerable in recent weeks. So that's sort of the balance there for this game here. You're at home, the crowd will be behind you. I think a really, really quick start will be important. Newcastle don't travel relatively well, so get to a quick start, get in control of that ball there, and get in the front foot, like they did versus Bournemouth, and hopefully they can just manage the game and see it out later on in that one there. Looking at Newcastle, probably their best game of the season, a 4-0 win versus Leicester, and it's on the back of that front 3. Murphy, Gordon, Isaac. It looks like those 3 are the best front 3 to go with this current point in time for Eddie Howe's side. Isaac in some fantastic form. Anthony Gordon finding his feet yet again. And I just think as well with that front 3 there with the wing backs as well, Livramento alongside a great, very informed Lewis Hall at this current point in time. The side's looking very, very solid. And I think if those fullbacks can be at their best yet again and get the better of the fullback battle versus Ipswich, you can basically count Newcastle winners of this game here because both sides are so dependent on how well their fullbacks perform going forward and also defensively. So it's going to be the battle of fullbacks. I think Lewis Hall and Livramento in some fantastic form. Probably the best young fullbacks in the Premier League. And for that reason, I see them getting over the line. Chance creation, quality in the final third. They get the win here. 3-1 for me. Newcastle over Ipswich here. And Newcastle continue to make their rise up the Premier League. Looking to our next game. At the G-Tech, the entertainment centre of the Premier League this season, Brentford hosts Nottingham Forest. And this one's going to be a classic, I feel like. Both teams in some fantastic form, both teams playing fantastic football, and 2 great managers for either sides here in this one. Looking at Brentford, though, again, one of the worst away teams in the Premier League, outplayed well and truly by Chelsea, 2-1 away from home. They did make it competitive late, but they didn't show up from the start of the game. It's really important they get that quick start yet again at home in this one here. The attacking football has been indicative of how the side's gone. That's simply put, that's my note here. That is how the side plays its football. When it's attacking well, the side wins games of football. And you saw it versus Chelsea. A late sort of flurry was on the back of great attacking football. Then I feel like the key is Mikkel Damsgaard in that sort of creative number 8 or number 10 at times, that Brentford midfield there. Get him space in the ball, get him time to operate. He will pull the strings and good things will happen with Visser and Burma, Kevin Schade up top. So it's really, really important. Mikkel Damsgaard is the key, is the cog that gets things turning for this Brentford side because that'll go a long way for Brentford winning this game of football here. So he'll be very, very important. Equally so is Pinnock and John Collins as a part of that back 3 there to protect the goal from that really, really rampant Forest front line. Chris Wood, Anthony Alanga, Hudson Odoi. The names go on and on and on, but they're going to be equally important. That back 3 is going to be important. Mikkel Damsgaard going forward is going to be important for Brentford as well. And looking at Forest, great comeback 2-1 win over Aston Villa. They kept at it. They kept working away. Another great home win. And they're building a bit of a fortress there, Forest, and that's really, really good to see. But they've travelled really, really well this season as well. It's now 3 wins in the last 4 games for the club, and they're really, really showing this consistency with their football. Well and truly a top 5 side this season, and it's been on the back of, once again, another great performance in midfield. Ryan Yates, Elliot Anderson, fantastic in the heart of the midfield, and then also the 2 deeper players defensively, Murillo and Milenkovic. These guys are 4 here, the spine of the team. They've been in great form. Nottingham Forest goes as far as these guys can take him because it's built in that defensive system and then the ability to counter-attack. And I feel like Brentford at home, a very attacking side, like to push numbers forward. If these guys can stay solid, can get Nottingham Forest out in the counter-attack, they could get the better of a very, very aggressive Brentford side at home. With that being said, I got goals in this game. I'm backing Brentford's home form in here, though. Brentford 3, Nottingham Forest 2 in what will be one of the games of the weekend for me. The next one keeps us in London. Crystal Palace host Arsenal in an all-London affair. Palace continue their great run of form. 3-1 win over Brighton last time out. A really, really impressive away from home performance. It's now 5 games unbeaten for Crystal Palace in the Premier League. Building yet again on that defensive structure. Will Hughes, I think, has been fantastic protecting that back line there. And Chalobah Lacroix and also Mark Gay's becoming one of the better back lines in the Premier League. It's very similar to what happened last year, I feel like. Started the season off very, very poorly, then developed and built their game off the defensive structure and the system. Mark Gay's at his best. Lacroix's been one of the signings of the season defensively, and it's really, really working well. Then you look forward as well, and things are happening in the final third once again. Ismail Assar alongside Eberechi Eza have been much better. They look quicker, they look more connected in the final third, and it isn't Elise and Eza, but it's very, very close to this current point in time. Great speed of ball movement, great creativity, and if Ismail Assar's more careful with his passes and more precise with his passes in the final third, Crystal Palace can be very, very dangerous on the counter-attack versus an Arsenal side that will definitely want to be in the front foot, definitely want to have a lot of possession there. They were underwhelming, 0-0 draw yet again last time out versus Everton, and it's a bit of a rut. Only 3 Premier League goals scored in the last 3 games. It's going forward, which is the problem. They're not looking at conceding any goals. They're looking really, really solid at that start of the pitch, but going forward, they've really struggled. He needs someone to stand up, and I think the midfield might be the difference. If Marino, Rice, and Ødegaard can be a little more progressive in mind and take the game on a little bit more, and sort of kitchen sink type stuff in terms of they're trying to create chance for the side, that might be the difference. Because yes, there's been some chances created, but it hasn't been the most obvious. Like, you blame the strikers for missing it, and yes, they have to improve the forwards, but the midfield, I think, have to be a little bit better in terms of creating easy opportunities for these front line players to go and operate with. Because outside of Bukayo Saka, there's nothing really going forward that self chance creation. Havertz isn't going to create chance for himself. Neither is Martinelli. Neither is Leandro Trossard. Neither is Gabriel Jesus. So you're looking at Ødegaard and Rice and Marino to be really, really aggressive, get the ball driven forward, and attack that way. Attack 3 midfielders. So I think that might be a weird sort of structural thing, but I think that Arsenal might have to try in this game here to get the better of Palace. With that being said, Palace at home, they're going to make it tough, but I see Arsenal getting over the line, going with an Arsenal 2-0 win in this game here. They get back on track and keep pressure on Liverpool in this game here. Our next one sends us up to Merseyside. Everton host Chelsea. This one's going to be a really interesting game for many regards. Everton come off the back of a great 0-0 result versus Arsenal. They only scored 4 goals in their last 5 games, but they've had 3 0-0 draws. So they're getting the results the Sean Dyche type way. And I feel like it's going to take a lot to stop Chelsea, but they might have the confidence now to go and do it. Obviously, the defiance, the defensive solidity and compactness has been the key. Arsenal had chances, but not many clear-cut chances because Everton was super compact and didn't give much quarter and didn't give much space for those creative players to operate in. And that's going to be very, very important yet again because Chelsea have a lot of those creative players and a lot of players in some fantastic form at this current point in time. So that back four, especially Tarkowski and Branthwaite at the heart of the centre-back position there, they're going to be so important to keep Everton organised, keep them structured well, and keep them nice and compact to limit the spaces and the holes that Chelsea creative players can work into. I think Decore and Garner Gay in the centre of the park as well will be really, really important to almost man mark Enzo Fernandez, Cole Palmer, limit these guys and their involvement in the game because they're in fantastic form at this current point in time. Looking at Chelsea, very, very impressive 2-1 win over Brentford. Again, outside of the last 10 minutes, they were in control of the whole game. Another dominant performance, just didn't get the amount of goals on the score sheet. But goals have not been a problem. It's a 7-game win streak, 17 goals in the last 5 games. They're doing it all at this current point in time. Best away record in the Premier League. I don't think they'll be phased about Goodison Park, but important they get a quick start. Goodison Park can be a hard place to go if you don't get a quick start. If the crowd gets on top of you, Everton get a bit of confidence, maybe nick a goal in the first half. That's when Goodison Park becomes difficult. But if Chelsea can go there with the swagger they're playing with and start the game quick, start on the ball, take the crowd, the energy out of the game out of it, I think they cruise this game here. Once again, Enzo and Palmer will be pivotal yet again. They've been in fantastic touch and they've been the leaders of this side. Such young leaders, but they're doing a fantastic job at it. With that being said, going with Chelsea, can't see them losing a game here. They are literally probably right now the best team in the Premier League and absolutely deserve it at that second spot on the table at this current point in time. Going with a 3-0 Chelsea win here, they get another big win for me. Looking at the next one, at Old Trafford as Manchester United host Bournemouth. Obviously, United come off the back of that fantastic derby win over Man City, 2-1. It's now 2 hard-fought wins in a row, and then obviously the tough losses as I'm recording this versus Tottenham 4-3 in the cup. But it's 10 goals scored in the last 5 games. The attacking movements and patterns are looking much better, more consistent. And I feel like in this game, it's going to be an interesting one because Bournemouth came to Old Trafford last year, dominated the midfield battle, and they won 3-0. So looking at Manuel Ugarte, because he was fantastic versus Man City, an underrated performer, who have to be at his best yet again. You have to be competitive, almost like a terrier in there, nipping away at the feet of the Bournemouth players to get them sort of off-centred, off-balance, and that's how you can try and win this game of football. So Manuel Ugarte, a very underrated role in the middle of the park. They're trying to break the game up, and obviously going forward, it's Amad Diallo, it's Bruno Fernandes. Those are going to be the keys. Creative chances, pressing high up the pitch, and catching Bournemouth off guard in many regards. They're going to be so important in that end of the air, that end of the pitch there to try and get United on top, creating chances and finding the back of the net. And I think really, really important will be the first goal at Old Trafford in this game here because both sides don't necessarily start games too well. So first goal will be massive in this one here. Looking at Bournemouth, again, a 1-1 draw versus West Ham at home. It is an unbeaten run in the last 4 games. They're not worried about big sides. They've beaten Arsenal, they've beaten Man City, they've taken it to Newcastle and Chelsea. They're not going to be fearful of Manchester United, especially on the back of that 3-0 win last year at Old Trafford. And as I said, it'll be once again that sort of midfield area, Cook and Christie counter-pressing, keeping the pressure on Manchester United, nicking the ball off them if they're not careful. And I think an underrated performer has been Milos Kerkez as a left-back. He's been fantastic in recent weeks. He's been a bright spark going forward, but his defensive covering as well has been really, really important. He's really, really tight to Amad Diallo, who's been a fantastic touch in recent weeks as well. So he'll be important down that flank. Cook and Christie versus Ugarte in the middle of the park. A lot of great 1v1 battles in this game here. Ruben Amorim taking on Andoni Iraola. Just great battles all over the park. Who would have thought Bournemouth, Manchester United would be that battle? But you're looking at a 9th place team versus a 12th or 13th place team. So a very, very even battle in this game here. As I said, a fast start's going to be important. Whoever has the fastest start is likely to win their game of football. Both teams start very, very slow in recent weeks. But I see United carrying over the confidence from the derby win and winning this game here. Another 2-1 win for me. Bournemouth keep it competitive, but don't quite get the result in this one here. Coming off that game, we got a Fulham and Southampton. A 2-2, very, very impressive result for Fulham at Anfield last time out. It's now a 4-game unbeaten run, but no clean sheet in the last 5 matches. So defensive solidity is going to be a thing they're going to focus on here. But they've got draws versus Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool in their last 5 games. So it's a very, very positive sign. They're on the upward trajectory, but in history, we know Fulham have these great performances, then drop off versus a team like Southampton. So really, really important they stick at it, mentally switch on from the start, get in control of that game and win it in the first 45 minutes if possible because you've got the creative players, you've got the defensive players to put up a really good 45 minutes and below Southampton out the water here. Anthony Robertson, another masterclass last time out. He'll be important yet again defensively and driving the team forward. Absolutely dominates that left-hand channel there at Craven Cottage. And I think for me, Emile Smith-Rowe will like to come back into the side with Andreas Pereira suspended. A big game in for him. Been a little bit quiet in recent weeks. We know the chance creation that he can create. He know how he can spark that front line. Raul Jimenez will want those chances. Emile Smith-Rowe, a big game here, I feel like, to try and get Fulham going on the front foot there. Looking at Southampton, another disappointing loss, 5-0 at home to Spurs. Manager now sacked. Russell Martin now gone. It's 3 goals in the last 5 games. No win in the last 7 in all competitions. It is looking very, very bleak. I don't see them getting much of a chance here at all. If anything, the spark players, Dibbling, Armstrong, Fernandes, they're going to be the players leading the charge. But I just don't see this team being good enough, consistent enough to compete in the Premier League. They're simply just not good enough for this division. And you need a rapid start. If you're Southampton, you want to score 2 in the first 30 minutes, maybe catch Fulham off guard, but I can't see that happening. I'm going with a Fulham 3-0 win in this one here. I just think Southampton, they're a lost cause this season in the Premier League, and Fulham continue their great form in this one here. All right, penultimate game sees Leicester host Wolves. It's going to be a very, very interesting game here. Leicester obviously beaten well and truly by Newcastle 4-0 last time out on the road. They've struggled, it's fair to say. 1 win in the last 5 games, but look much more competitive, I guess, in many regards. If you're looking at results-wise, it's been a struggle. But you're looking at more the structure and the build-up and the way they're playing their football. It's improving. They're more competitive. They're more compact without the ball. And going forward, they looked a bit of a better side. Didn't see it much versus Newcastle United, but in previous games, they looked a little bit more coherent in the final third there. No clean sheet in the last 10 games, though, is a bit of a problem. But I think this game here, defence goes out the window. Two teams that have struggled defensively. It's going to be the attackers. So can El Kanous, can Mavadidi, Makatia all help set up Jamie Vardy, put pressure on that Wolves back line, which collapses in different games. They have moments where they just fall apart. So if you're Leicester, just stay in the game, keep competitive, keep the game close, and you can blow them out the park in a 15-minute period there if you stick on it. So those creative players are going to be very, very important this one here. Looking at Wolves, they slumped to another loss, 2-1 at home at the hands of Ipswich the last time out. Obviously, Gary O'Neill now sacked. New start yet again. New Portuguese manager, I believe, has come in at Wolves at this current point in time. But I tell you what, they need a massive turnaround. 4 losses in a row. A lot of collapses and many different moments in games. They've been competitive. They've shown some great moments in games where attacking plays, movements, passages, but they're just not good enough defensively. And as I said, though, defense goes out the water in this game. Yeah, this game is not going to be a defensive battle at all. It's going to be an attacking affair. Both sides thrive moving the ball forward in the final third, in the centre third to final third. That's where they do their best work. So I think in this game here, if Andre Lamina can just be the heart in the midfield, can get the ball progressing forward, can just cover off the defence enough and get the ball moving forward to like Acuna, Strand Larson, that's the chance they've got to win this game of football. Whoever wins that midfield battle and keeps in possession of the football more often than not will go and win the game. Because whoever does another possession will have to defend, and we know defences don't work with these two sides here. For me, it could be a Cunha magic game to separate the two sides. Both sides have good players, no great players, but Tess Cunha is an A-level player. If he gets in control of this game, if he runs amok, Wolves win the game. If he's being quiet, I think Leicester get the win for me. But I see it being another draw. I've got another 2-2 draw in this one here. Both teams, as I said, cannot defend this current point in time. They're not good enough. And I think they have the quality to win a game of football. Both teams are just allergic to winning right now. And I start seeing it being a 2-2 draw. That brings us to our final game, the big one from the weekend. Spurs host Liverpool, a top-of-the-table style clash. Spurs in the mix, Liverpool at the top of the league. We're looking at European positions right here. And for Liverpool, a title race to continue charging in. Looking at Spurs, a 5-0 win last time out. Makeshift backline once again. And we saw it. Pap Sarr was much improved. Spurs are much improved. So a massive game required from him alongside Bergvall in that midfield there against a very, very strong Liverpool midfield. One of the strongest in the Premier League. So Pap Sarr alongside Bergvall going to be at their best to keep the side in control and on top of this game of football here. So very, very important games to come for those two there. And I think once again, Spurs look their best when they attack, when they score goals, and that's what's going to come. Son, Maddison, Kulusevski. Can these guys get in control of the game yet again? Can they dominate that forward area of the park? Because we know Liverpool have been very good defensively this season, but they've been a bit quiet in recent weeks, and I feel like it's vulnerable without Ibrahim Kanate there. Van Dijk might get a little bit tired. Andy Robertson, obviously suspended in this one here. There's a real chance to get at this Liverpool side and score some goals. And Spurs want games that are high scoring. Spurs want games that are back and forth. And as such, these players are going to be massive. Maddison, Kulusevski and Son look to them to try and dictate the game, to gain control of the game and win it for Spurs in this one here. So they'll be massive once more. Looking at Liverpool, a 2-2 draw last time out with 10 men versus Fulham. They're still the second-ranked team away from home this season, but have not kept a clean sheet since Man City a few games ago. So 2 draws in that sort of period of time. They're conceding goals, not looking at their sparkling best, which they were 3 or 4 weeks ago. But you need that defensive solidity to come back. I said it for Spurs, and I'm going to say it for Liverpool. Gomez and Van Dijk are going to be at their best here. We know how dangerous Spurs are at home. We know how aggressive Ange's system is. Virgil and Gomez are going to be so, so important. Set Liverpool up defensively, and the good things will come from the back. You build out from the back, stay solid from the back, prevent Spurs getting avenues or lanes in behind, chances on the break, ability to get in behind, over the top, through spaces. Keep it nice and compact. I think for Liverpool, you build from defensively. If you're solid up defensively, things will open up going forward. You know Diaz and Salah are going to get many chances against this Spurs side. They're so open. They're such a makeshift backline. An average keeper at best in goal and Forster. So you know it's going to happen in the final third if you can say solid enough defensively. And I feel like another player will be key in this game is Curtis Jones, a two-way running type midfielder, a proper number 8, smart in the final third, capable on the ball. He could be the player that tears this game apart with his quality in the centre of the park, winning the midfield battle and then winning the game for Liverpool. So look to him to have a massive game in this one here as well. With that being said, Spurs are so hard to say, so hard to predict, so hard to see what's going to happen with them. But with Liverpool, we know what we're going to get. It's going to be a very organised performance, a balanced performance. I think that balance and that continuity will be the key in this one here. I've gone to Liverpool 3-1 win over Spurs. They'll be dangerous Spurs. I think Liverpool have got the quality. They've got the players. They've got the leaders in the park to make the difference in this one here. And I see them getting the win in this one at 3-1. With that being said, ladies and gents, that brings this prediction video to an end. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What's your biggest game from the weekend? What some of your score predictions? Do you agree with my score predictions? Let me know that in the comment section down below. With that being said, I hope you have a great day, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players End channel, and press that post notification bell so you know we upload here on the channel. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy the upcoming football content. The football festive season is here. 40 games in 17 days. A lot to be excited about. And I'll see you guys in the video very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.